podcast and won't be seeing the titles, the word angry is in scare quotes for several reasons. I'd like to open by reading a statement from a fellow named Rabbi Mark Gelman, which was published on April 28, 2006 on the Newsweek website. The title is, Rabbi Gelman Tries to Understand Angry Atheists. I think I need to understand atheists better. I bear them no ill will. I don't think they need to be religious to be good, kind, and charitable people, and I have no desire to debate or convert them. I do think they are wrong about the biggest question, are we alone? And I will admit to occasionally viewing atheists with the kind of patient sympathy often shown to me by Christians who can't quite understand why the good news of Jesus' death and resurrection have not reached me or my people. However, there is something I'm missing about atheists. What I simply do not understand is why they are often so angry. So we disagree about God. I'm sometimes at odds with Yankees fans, people who like rap music, and people who don't like animals, but I try to be civil. I don't know many religious folk who wake up thinking of new ways to aggravate atheists, but many people who do not believe in God seem to find the religion of their neighbors terribly offensive or oppressive, particularly if the folks next door are evangelical Christians. I just don't get it. This must sound condescending and a large generalization, and I don't mean it that way, but I am tempted to believe that behind atheist anger there are oftentimes uncomfortable personal histories. Perhaps their atheism was the result of a tragic death of a loved one, or an angry, degrading sermon, or an insensitive eulogy, or an unfeeling castigation of lifestyle choices, or perhaps even something worse. I would ask for forgiveness from the angry atheists who write to me, if I thought it would help. Religion must remain an audacious and daring and, yes, uncomfortable assault on our desires to do what we want when we want to do it. All religions must teach a way to discipline our animal urges, to overcome racism and materialism, selfishness and arrogance, and the sinful oppression of the most vulnerable and the most innocent among us. That's quite enough.
Yeah.
Rabbi Gelman, let me say to you, in the spirit of love and understanding, that perhaps the reason you encounter so many angry atheists is because you are a pompous, arrogant, self-righteous, obnoxious jerk. And that makes me angry.
Might be the case. I know there's a lot more to what he said. He starts off by saying he really wants to understand. He thinks he needs to understand atheists, and he just doesn't understand them. And everything he writes clearly demonstrates that he doesn't understand.
It's not so much that he doesn't understand atheists. It's that he pretends that he's trying to understand atheists when, in fact, he
Right.
didn't try at all.
Yeah.
You know how I know he didn't try? Let me read this bit again. Perhaps their atheism was the result of the tragic death of a loved one, or an angry, degrading sermon, or an insensitive eulogy, or an unfeeling castigation of lifestyle choices. That guy did not talk to a single atheist before writing this completely uninformed bit of drivel. If he had talked to an atheist, then he could have actually gotten some individual opinions and not made up a bunch of stuff and prefaced it with the word perhaps.
Well, see, the other thing is that he didn't even need to bother to talk to an actual atheist. Mm-hmm. He could have simply just read one of the many, many books like Why I'm Not a Christian by Bertrand Russell, or Dawkins' The God Delusion, which explains in great detail exactly the intellectual justification behind these individuals' atheism, and demonstrates that there's no need for, and consider my own personal story, I didn't lose any loved one, I didn't suffer any wrongness at the hand of the church. I actually enjoyed some of the more fire and brimstone sermons when I was younger. I wasn't put off by any of this. I was actually seeking justification for my beliefs in order to eventually possibly become a preacher.
And I'm completely different. I was raised in an atheist household by two atheist parents who loved me very much, and I loved them, and I had a great relationship with my parents, and I thought about whether their beliefs were right, and I decided, like many people do, that I just agreed with what my parents thought.
Right.
And too many times I see people like this Rabbi Gelman trying to do amateur psychoanalysis of atheists in a vacuum, so to speak, not actually looking at what they either don't listen to what atheists say they believe, or they dismiss it as it couldn't possibly be true. Here
Right.
are your deep-rooted personal problems that caused you to be an atheist.
Yeah, it's perhaps one of the reasons why Rabbi Gelman runs into so many angry atheists is because they're able to detect the fact that while he stands there and says that he'd really like to understand atheists, he's a liar. He doesn't actually want to understand
What he
atheists.
would like
he just
to do
presumes.
is tell you
Yeah.
what atheists believe.
Here's what I think is the case. I know you think you've made an intellectual decision, but clearly something went horribly wrong, and how pompous and condescending and I mean.
Well, he said this must sound condescending and
Yeah.
a large generalization, and I think that was like the only really true statement in this entire
Well, I
piece.
think there was another true statement where he said that religion is assault on our desires. In many cases, religion is often used as an assault on people's desires. No, you can't
Yes.
do that, and even though there's no good reason for you not to do it, you can't do it because God has said you can't do it.
Right. Now, I would like to explore today two questions. Number one is, are atheists really angry? And number two is, why do so many people like Rabbi Gelman feel that it's important to write about how angry atheists are?
One of the things, right before we get started, as a reminder, this is a live call-in show. We'll have the phone number up for you very shortly. We're in our new time slot now, and that's from 3 to 4:30 as opposed to the 4:30 to